Hey everybody, it's Fat Man from the Holler. As usual, if you like my videos, hit like and subscribe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain a little more in depth where I've been. I've been dealing with some family, deaths and friends dying and other situations with friends. And I can tell you right now, I'm not a dramatized person. And I've been dealing then with real world things off the internet and social media, of course. What I'm dealing with is exactly what I'm dealing with, as I'll tell you. What I'm dealing with is YouTube has changed their policy to where I cannot show how to make ammunition, homemade firearms, or anything like that. I find that kind of demeaningless because it's not an intent to overthrow the government, harm nobody. The disclaimer is when you're reloading, you need to have books, knowledge, know how to properly use your equipment and tools and your materials, which is your products. I'm not responsible for those things. I'm not responsible for all kinds of bad things. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lay it down where it needs to be laid down. Because when I feel things, some people will pussyfoot around the subject, beat around the bush. Well, here's the deal. I'll give you an example. They keep talking about this mass shooting thing. Yes, it's a horrific tragedy and a terrible thing that happens in our country. And our country is being overran by communists because how communism works is they destroy the infrastructure from within, so they're destroying our country from the inside. So when they got to come in, they won't have no opposition, and I'm fine with that. Because guess what? I ain't going to live forever, and I'm quite prepared to die. So that's out of the way. So here's what the deal is. This is for all the gun manufacturers making ammo and people making firearms. And this is a big thing. And this really irks me out and really quite annoys me and aggravates me. And I think a whole lot of you guys out there who are sportsmen, target shooters of the wheel guns, which is revolvers and the lever actions, etc. I'll give you quite a simple example. Now I'm reading YouTube and it says no showing 30 round magazines, high magazine capacities and all that. I understand all that. I understand it to a T. People really may not need that stuff. If you're a target shooter, you shouldn't need more than a 10, the 15 or 20 round magazine. I understand that. But here's where it gets stupid. Okay, you shoot cowboy ammunition through a lever action wheel gun revolver. Here's where that's at. Okay, one box of ammo is $50, or a 410. 22s, you go to Walmart years ago, you could buy 22s, $550 for $5. They made them $40. Okay, and then the 410, high as hell. They're making all the shot shells expensive and that nature, and all the cowboy type ammunition is expensive. But here's my question. Okay, it's $50 for a box, I say 45 long Colt. I go into a place that sells ammunition, and they don't like this mass shooting thing, but they sell 9mm ammo, 40 caliber ammunition, 223 ammunition, dirt cheap. For $50 I can buy 250, 223, 5.56 full metal jackets. $50 I can buy 250, but I can't even hardly buy a box of cowboy type ammunition for $50. There's something going on here. And I think it's price gouging in a certain aspect. And then that's one thing. And then the next thing is it's the stupid media in this country. Like Richard Ramirez and Night Stalker and all that stuff that's going on down in California. Excuse me for wiping sweat off. It's a little hot today, about 86 degrees. But anyway, when you keep on promoting something, you're making copycat criminals. Where you get stupid people that have mental illness, a gun in their hand, can walk in the store and buy it, even if there's a 5-day wait, 7-day wait, blah, blah, blah. Then they go out and they massacre kids, old people, innocent people of all sorts. So, of course, it's the gun's fault, right? Inadequate government, that's what that is. And I stand behind 1776, give me liberty or give me death. And you know what? I stand behind that. And I stand behind the Second Amendment. But there's things about the Second Amendment of, let's stop using our government as a capitalist corporation system that likes to enslave and demoralizes by all kinds of rules and stipulations and being highly monitored. You know, Nazi Germany, they did monitor the people that was trying to take over and enslave and kill and pillage and all that. But guess what they didn't have? They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have cameras. They didn't have cameras on buildings. They didn't have internet. They didn't have miscommunication, false information, and all that. And they did have false information in the aspect of the propaganda and agenda. You have an agenda. Your agenda is what you want, and that usually involves monetary gain, land, and religion of that nature. That's the agenda to get what they want, a profound closure to what they want. But the propaganda, the twisting all this into something that ain't, is where the problem lies. Because when you got a government that nobody can trust, you cannot trust the government. Highly offensive, highly offensive. You cannot trust the government. Highly offensive. Why is it highly offensive to the government? And why does the government be mad when I say this? You cannot trust them. I buy a piece of property with my money I work for. I pay taxes to go to work. So, I've said a million times and a million times over, to get a license, you have to go take a permit. You have to pay. You have to take the written test. You have to pay for the permit. Then you have to have a car, which obviously has to have plates and insurance, inspection, so where you can take the driver's test, so where you can receive your driver's license, and you have to have insurance and all that jazz, and the oil, transmission fluid repairs, and the vehicle has to be up to par for actually taking the test in. And that's before, that's when you're a kid, that's when you're young, or even old starting to try to live your life. So then you get a job, and then if you go to work, you eat, you pay your lights, your water, or rent, or whatever you have, or if you got kids, you're even in a deeper category of being enslaved, being in debt forever. So all that's going on, and how this involves guns and YouTube policy is, I feel like we're living in hell. We're living in a place that's deemed insanity. Then you got little punks like Putin. Okay, you want to be communist? Be communist. Everybody in America isn't going to jump on your bandwagon. And China and American greed in China combined has made a disposable nation. That's why there's no longer a company, a store that gives jobs, that sells good quality materials called Sears. The best store we had in American history was ran out of business by this disposable nation of despicable CEOs and corporate fat cats, scumbags, and sellouts. You could buy a coffee pot at Sears, cost $79. I have family members that had them from 1976. They still work just fine. You can go to Dollar General, and I've worked at Dollar General, and I've worked at Walmart, and I've worked in the retail world. And here's the deal. Them coffee pots them people buy, they're $10, $15, $20. Guess what? They might last one day. They might last 20 days. I've watched customers in the 6-month span come in and buy 7 different coffee pots, if not more. And that's 7 that I've seen, not counting the time that I'm off or not being there. Because I'm not being in the store 24/7. I don't live there, which it felt like it in a certain aspect. But I go at it like this because the gun companies, the disposable nation, the cars, everything's made so idiotic and stupid. And it's all about convenience and luxury. And guess what? If you're like me, living out in the woods, living with hardly anything, you know, I don't mind living with less and having electricity, water, and internet, a roof, food to eat, a truck I can drive. It's a luxury to me. To other people, oh, you live so bad. No, I don't live bad. I grow a garden. I hunt. I utilize the earth, and I make fences out of old tree posts. Take a draw knife, clear the bark out of them. Use my grandpa's ground stamp and tamp them in the ground, put gravel around them, so when you tamp it, it makes the soil tight so the water runs off so it doesn't rot. And how all this goes back to guns is, if there's something that's a freedom, it's being taken away. And a lot of people won't even follow this video this far because they figure it's going to be controversial or outside of their ideology or their liberal or whatever little label they want to put on these things, because I don't believe in labels. We're all humans, and as bad as this will sound, and I want to add one more part of it, pure insanity, and I don't care because, you know, the ingredient of insanity, the ingredient of genius is insanity. One of the best guys, and he had a natural approach to doing things in a violent nature, and I do not emphasize on anyone doing these things, which would be the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. He started making all them bombs and blowing people up and injuring them and killing them and all that stuff. That's completely unacceptable. That's a anarchist way of doing things, and that's just not part of how the Constitution was made to be intended. But he did understand how technology is turning people into mindless micro robots by having internet and stuff. And I don't know, with him being locked up, he's dead now, but the internet and social media, misinformation, and then Trump tried to say fake news. I've been saying that for over 25 years and all that stuff. When you start breaking stuff down into reality aspects, you know, Timothy McVeigh, that thing was a conspiracy as well. Ruby Ridge, Waco. It's just like if you're any kind of indifferent from the system, or the system deems you to be competition, like the Italian Cosa Nostra, drug cartel, or anybody, they're going to come to kill you, and they're going to come to take everything you own and liquidate it so they own it. They don't want competition. And that's how the gun thing works. Because guess what? It's okay, and here's what, and there's just complications in my mind. It's just, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm mental, maybe I'm a hillbilly psycho. Okay, the police, the SWAT teams, the FBI, the ATF, government, military, all those guys can have tanks, helicopters, armored vehicles, and I can own one for like $350,000. But I see this stuff, and it makes sense for humans doing their job and not getting hurt. I've seen a SWAT team go after a guy in a house that is barricaded in a house, probably with a couch, and I just cruised by it, and I seen it breaking down. They had an armored vehicle there, and they started shooting tear gas in there, and you know, this guy just went on for like 8 hours, and supposedly the guy shoots himself. I'm really hating to break the hearts of Americans, but our country is really screwed up badly, because when you're like, I know firearms, and I know about police and military aspects of how they operate, and I mean, I understand what a deemable high risk situation is, where you got somebody that has a firearm or maybe even killed somebody, and then they have to be subdued and taken in, hopefully non-violently, where they don't have to be killed or injured, any law enforcement of sorts. But the thing is, the anti-SWAT team, see, I don't know about Missouri. I know more about bigger metro areas, and like in metro areas, like they call a SWAT team in, they come out with 338 Lupas. 338 Lupa is a 338 caliber that is used for anti-SWAT, military, anti-personnel, and it's also used for hunting the moose, caribou, and elk, and big game, etc. like that. So these guys are trained. Like, you can watch YouTube videos where a marksman who's an anti-SWAT, guy's holding a gun to his head, he shoots the gun out of his hand, and then you can see where, and I can see the law enforcement, and I'll never dog those guys, because it's a hell of a job when you're trying to deal with multiple. Because see, being an officer, I ain't saying I don't never despise the law. They're doing their job. I mean, some cops, they have bad days, like we all do, because we're only human, and sometimes they go some of them go a little whacked out because they get mental illness and they're never assessed properly. It's just like the prison system. They rather put people in prison than mental assess them, because as I was told by the Department of Corrections, I was told by law officers, detainees, and everything, correctional officers, they said it costs more money for people to be deemed with mental illness, to fix the mental illness, than addictive personality or the behavioral disorders they have. So I come in on all this, and I don't come in with animosity or hatred towards a human being for the way this world is. We're all part of this world, and some of us don't want to say nothing because we're scared of persecution by our significant other, our kids, our family, our fathers, our mothers, our grandparents, our brothers, our sisters, nephews, nieces, our co-workers, our church peers, or whatever category you may be. And then, then there's prison system, and you get guys in the prison system, and here's how a prison system works. And maybe not Missouri as much, because I don't see Missouri as really being Missouri is really not like a bigger facility like Cochrane, Cochrane out in California, or Juliet up in Illinois, or McAllister down in Oklahoma, or way down south around Louisiana. Some of them prison systems, because guess what? Them prison systems, they categorize you, and you will be tested upon being in there. People try to fight you, try to punk you out, take your commissary, take your shoes. You got to fight. It's just a dog eat dog mentality. It's just like putting lions and chickens and monkeys and gorillas all in the same cage in the zoo and expect them not to fight. Each animal has its own personality. And what I mean is each animal as a human being is an animal. We have a primal instinct to defend ourselves. And some of us are violent in nature, and what they do is kill. And some of them never had parents and bad learned behavior. And it's just nobody wants to assess this world and the values it is. And then they always want to blame guns. They want to blame everything. I just really wish for world peace in a way. But also, on the other hand, when you want to be a good guy, it's like everybody wants to test you. And every time I look around, I'm getting tested. Facebook changed the policy, so we're just going to take your video down and make it so it's non-visible. Okay, I figured it's probably somebody being a dick to me because they hated my content or something of that nature. No, it wasn't even nothing like that. It was just a new YouTube policy, so I was like, okay. I figured that BS out. Then I went on Facebook. I have a Facebook account. And what they did is they started saying it's a fake account. And then some people I know that's having lots of stupid, idiotic drama. And I don't tolerate it. I want to be part of it. I want to be part of their life. I don't have nothing to give them. They always want something. They're just scandalous little wannabe gangsters. And I hate to tell them this in person. If they try to get over on me like they did playing a video game or any type certain way, I probably hit them right in their face hard as I can. And I won't stop. I just won't stop. That's why I don't want to be around people like that. Because I don't want to be in prison over stupidity or a second of self-gratitude and feeling great about smacking somebody that needs it, because they ain't going to wake up. I'll let them be their self, and that's the better thing. So Facebook try to flag my Facebook account and all my Facebook pages saying that I'm sitting here doing ill will things. I don't do ill will things. I don't rob. I don't steal. I don't deal dope. I don't kill people. I don't molest people. I don't do nothing but stay at home just like some prisoner. I'm no different than a prisoner in the penitentiary. People don't understand that. My own family don't understand that. My own blood family don't understand me. I haven't seen many of them in 20 years. I haven't seen a lot of my friends in 20 years because, maybe they have helped contribute to me having some kind of mental illness or something of that nature, or religious acrimony, or a spiritual endeavorment. Because here's what it is when you stand up for yourself, you're instantly the bad guy. You're always the bad guy. Because my mom's like, well, you have friends and you run them off. Okay, friend comes over, steals my CD, and I confront them about it, and they start acting stupid, and I hit them in their mouth. Well, you shouldn't steal from somebody, or you see $20 laying in the seat of their truck because it fell out of their billfold or whatever reason it's sitting there. Doesn't give you the right. Just because you can't don't mean you should. There's rules. I don't steal from my friends. I don't do dirty stuff. I don't try to sleep with my friends' wives, daughters, kids, ex-wives, ex-girlfriends. Now, I don't do that shit to my family neither. And I may be cussing and rough around the edges, and a lot of people on YouTube don't have time or the mentality to watch a video that's over 5 minutes. This is for the beneficial thing of mankind. If we want to be better humans, what we got to do is we want to be better humans, and I've complained about this, and many others have complained. The older generation, man, it was great. It was great. The old days, nothing was easy. There's crime, there's killings, there's murders, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's all kind of stuff. But, if you read moonshine back in the old days, old-time moonshiners, boy, if you're part of the outfit, you're part of the unit, and you know what you're doing. If you're out in the woods, you're whipping up shine, running your steel, then guess what? You had your people you outed it to. Outed to, you had your people you sold to. And then you had the federal government, the Federal Bureau, and all that bullshit. And the only reason it's a fucking crime, just like everything else, government hates competition. Why is they going after moonshiners? Because it wasn't FDA regulated. The food, alcohol, and the FDA, the Federal Department of Agriculture, fucking where the fucking bullshit is, where they check your food and all this shit. Okay, well guess what? I'd rather drink moonshine than eat some of that food that's got fucking steel coming out of China in, or feed my little babies food that's got fucking lead and shit in it, cause deformities and shit. Don't you think we got a problem going on? You depend on foreign nations. We send our good shit to them. They send us back fucking poison. I know chicken shit, and I ain't scared of X-Ping, fucking Kim Jong-Lee, fucking Putin, none of them motherfucking scumbag pussies. They ain't no because Putin, Kim Un-Lee, and X-Ping, them three fucking punks ain't no different than Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, and that little stupid last dude of the samurai generation over in Japan. Nothing's changed. That's World War III. What's up with that? You know, in the fucking government, they call that the RICO Act. It's like 2 or more people as an organization. That's what the communists are. They're a fucking organization. They got KGB. United States got all our little stupid groups. They got their syndicates and shit over there. They got their mobs. They got their gangs. They got their same fucking drug problems. But the thing is, they're selling fully automatic receivers for guns. YouTube don't want that shit on there. I get it. These guys are fucking flooding us with fucking fentanyl. They're flooding into fucking Canada out of fucking Russia and China, and they're all fucking doing that shit. Then they're selling us disposable shit, fucking poisonous food, and all that. And nobody wants to say nothing about any of the bullshit because they're scared. And like the whole fucking dumb shit with 9/11, Oklahoma State building. I will not say this in a way where I'm going to get fucking sued. This is a disclaimer. This is like an Alex Jones thing where he said Sandy Hook was a hoax. It wasn't a fucking hoax. It was a fucking tragedy where people did some outlandish shit. And the media fucking falsified some of the shit they said to fucking amp it just like clickbait. But I'll say it just like this. When you overamp a situation, you let the media spin that shit, it's like gossip. You know what? Most of the shit on the news is gossip. It's like taking a big old witch kettle and filling it full of shit, puke, and vile, disgusting things, and stirring it up and stirring it up and stirring it up, and then letting it set in the sun until you see the surface. They want you to see the surface. They don't want you to see all the toxic shit that's really under there. They want to point out what's good or bad and play their little narrative and their perspective and their agenda and their perception of being able to keep their job and shit like that. And they're talking about all kinds of shit. I just see it as what it is. You know, what you give and what you give and what you do is what counts, and that's where it's at. Because you know, shit gets simple. Shit gets much simpler than anything. It works just like this right here. I can say I'm a millionaire. I have 20 different wives, 400 kids. I have this, I have that. I don't give a damn shit, not 1 second about any of that. But you know what counts is what I do. What I'm on YouTube for is to give people the truth, pass my knowledge on, keep my hobbies alive, and I'm not out to offend nobody, hurt nobody. I'm not out to molest anyone physically. No harm, no way. No harm, no foul. Not out to harm anybody physically, sexually, spiritually, religiously, financially, or mentally. And that's the way it's at. And you know, a lot of people don't probably even view my videos this far because they think I'm crazy or this or that. And the problem is with that, and I understand that shit. Because I mean, I know people who are on dope. I don't like to be affiliated with them or deal with them or too many people with mental illness. So I have my own mental stability to work on and keep under control. But where it all becomes apparent is no matter how bad some of these people are mentally, it's like this. When the lies become the truths and the truth becomes a conspiracy, you have a problem. And when I try to speak as if I was talking to God. Because I don't hide nothing from no one, and I will not hide nothing from no one, because I don't fear no man or nobody. Anything I've ever done wrong, I've told my parents. I've done quite an extensive amount of stupidity in 44 years. But I've also helped homeless people, and I've worked at the food bank, and I've done things to do right. And then when I speak on it, the self-gratification people come in. Well, I went to the soup kitchen and gave out food for 1 day. 1 day, that's nice. That helped people for 1 day. I like to do that shit a little bit more often than 1 day. When I like to help somebody, I like to do it because I'm not helping them. I'm just giving them something that makes their life a little easier. Just like growing a garden. You know, I put the seed in the soil, and I water it, and I tend to it, and I put in good potting mix or good chicken manure that's been sifted and tilled, where the seeds are going into adequate place to begin with, where they have a home, then they have water and sun and the things they need. And I usually let all my plants go organically, except for the chickens lately. They like to get up in the old chicken poop area that I tilled up because they like to hunt bugs in, and I let them get the worms out of it. So what they've been doing is knocking a lot of plants down, so I've had to cover some of them up. But I try to touch base on everything that I think about. Because when I have problems, man, I don't go to a psychiatrist. I don't ask my parents, my friends, my peers, my neighbors for nothing. I don't ask nobody for nothing. And I don't expect nobody to give me nothing. I just expect to do what I do in my own business and not harm any person out there. And I'm not trying to change a person's mentality. I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, independent. It's not a political thing. It's a world thing of humanity. I like to see people happy where we don't have to have shootings. And maybe if people drove a little bit better and stop acting self-righteous and the world revolves around them, maybe use a little courtesy when you're driving, or courtesy to the guy that works fast food, or the janitor, and even the CEO. Treat them better. And I understand CEOs, they do what they do and they take their position because they have what they have, and a lot of them have good educations. And I belittle people, and it's not the people. It's not I'm targeting a person or an organization or a company. I'm not targeting any of them in any kind of dynamic way. It's more of a general aspect of all the things, because all these corporations, they could help the world go a little bit more greener. We could bring back paper bags. Sometimes it's not the greatest, but paper bags are pretty efficient because they're not made out of petroleum based stuff like bags, but bags are probably made cheaper, so they use bags. Okay, you don't want to use bags? How about put solar panels on your roofs, or even have wells dug in your little Dollar Generals you're putting everywhere, so the water in your facility will actually save your company money, and it'll actually help cycle the water out of the earth back into usable, utilized water. And then guess what? You can always have they could have like a septic tank or even a little water facility on the building, where the building it only has to take out so much water from the well, and that water is actually a little miniature filtration system, which can be simply done with rock, sand, and charcoal. And the solar, I mean, it takes a little bit, but there's other things. A lot of these buildings, they could have solar panels on the roof. They could have wind power on the roof. They could grow different types of plants on the roof. They could plant trees by their Dollar Generals and plant rows of trees and do stuff to be green instead of cutting everything down and just dismaying the world. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just a real guy. And man, I love everybody in this world, and I hope we all have a better life, and the world will calm down, and Putin and the United States will quit stirring Putin up, and Putin will just put a muzzle on his mouth and do whatever he wants to do, because he ain't trying to fight Ukraine because he wants Ukraine back. The USSR fell, you punk, and here's how it works. The only reason you're trying to attack other countries is because you want their wealth, because you're a dirtbag. You're a self-righteous little Hitler wannabe. You got a Napoleon complex. Guess what? Hitler didn't make it, Napoleon didn't make it, and Alexander the Great didn't make it. Nobody's above God. And I don't care what religion, sex, creeds, whatever you are. If you don't believe in a God, that's fine. But the Great Spirit is something more powerful than anything on earth. And much love, and I'm out.